started here in just a second. I'm going to ask that you review the minutes because we're going to need to get those approved. But I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order at 11:39. All right. And I want to thank you all for being here today. What we're going to do is get a motion to approve the minutes from the September 26th meeting. Have y'all had? Okay, so we've got somebody new that's taken the role, so if you'll just state your name. Okay, and do I have a second? Lissa, okay. All right, all in favor? Okay, any opposed? All right. You're, okay. All right. So I want to introduce anybody that is new to us today. If you don't mind, you don't have to stand up, but if you'll just state your name and who you're with. But if you'd like to stand up, that would be awesome. Everybody will be able to see you. Okay, go ahead.
I'm new. My name's Julia Garza. I work for Maximus with Medicaid. So I'm just here. I'm actually showing Andrew around. Waxahachie is going to be his new area, so I'm showing him kind of the ropes of the meeting. So
Okay.
They'll probably do with you more than me.
Okay, awesome. So do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
My name is Andrew. Like she said, I'm new. I'm also with Maximus. I'll be taking over this area. Nice to meet you.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Wendy Lewis, and I work with REACH. We work with the YPI and the YRC, which is recovery and youth intervention programs.
Okay, yeah, the youth recovery program that we have. Thank you. And yes, sir.
My name is Daniel Dobson. I'm the new director of sports medicine. If you knew EJ, moved into that role. So, thank you all for having me.
All right, thank you for being here. Anyone else? All right, good job. Well, thank y'all for being here. We look forward to seeing you at future meetings. All right, let's see. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start on the updates. I'm Sherry Phillips. I'm also with REACH Council, and I serve as the SHAC chair. Let me go back over to my other notes. Let's see. I want to mention that we do have the prom pop-up that's going to be coming up. We're currently taking donations, and I meant to set the posters out, but I will set some posters out. So if anybody has any evening dresses, prom dresses that they would like to donate, we just ask that they're clean and gently used. I will put a plug in. We really need suits. We take shoes and things like that. We're trying to improve our selection on the plus size dresses for our young ladies, and just a better assortment on our suits. We don't have, unfortunately, somebody that donates like whatchamacallit does to our dress selection. So we've got close to probably 2,000 dresses, but we don't near have that many suits, unfortunately. So if you know somebody that is looking to get rid of some suits, we would be very grateful to be able to receive those, dress shirts, shoes, and things like that. Like I said, I'll have a flyer right here. We have 4 drop-off locations in Ellis County. Prosperity Bank is one of our sponsors, and they are a drop-off location at the Waxahachie, Ennis, and Red Oak locations. And in Midlothian, we also have Tim Tobey State Farm that is a drop-off location. And then feel free to email me if nothing else. If you're not able to make the drop-off locations, I can try to make arrangements to pick those up as well. That's all that I think that I have currently. Cassie, are there any other REACH updates that you're aware of? Wendy? Okay. All right. Then I'm going to ask Ginger if she will join us. I do want to say that we are going to be doing a presentation here in a little bit on fentanyl awareness and on the naloxone or Narcan. And so REACH has actually provided everyone with a box of Narcan, so feel free to grab you one of those before you leave today. All right, Ginger?
I'm actually, I'll start with counseling updates, and then I'm going to do nursing updates for Nurse Bousquet because she is out today. My name is Ginger Robinson. I'm the Director of Educational Support and Counseling for Waxahachie ISD, if I have not met you. Our last time we were here, Monica Taylor, our coordinator for mental health and counseling services, did a presentation on our Choose Love programs and our Sources of Strengths programs that are happening throughout the district. Those are continuing and growing. We are super excited that we're doing some field trips with our Choose Love kiddos and our Sources of Strengths kiddos, and we're going to give you all an update. Those field trips are coming up. So at our next meeting, we will have some more updates on those field trips. And we were able to share a little bit about that last time, and we'll have some more details on that for the next one. For our junior highs, on February 6th, next step, we'll be presenting our suicide awareness presentation for all of our 8th grade students. They will be at all 3 junior highs on that day. I'm looking at Jansen. There's a lot of staff coming in to help present to our students so that all of our students can get that important information about suicide awareness. We are also in the process of, we will have a parent presentation night as well. We typically do that before any type of presentation like this so that the parents can see and have a view of what the students will be learning. We will have that as well. We've been emailing today trying to solidify the location and the time for that. So once we have that, the parent presentation will happen. And then on February 6th, all of our junior high 8th grade students will have the suicide awareness presentation. So counseling updates, that's really, we've only been back in school, 3 weeks? So, and it's registration season, so. And then on nursing updates, I have those. I'm going to kind of skip over and go to Melissa's updates. So for we had our random drug testing in December, but due to a scheduling conflict, there was no high schools. We had to reschedule that random drug testing. So no Waxahachie High School or no Global High School in the month of December. That'll be rescheduled at a random date. But the junior high did go ahead and have their random drug testing, and all 3 junior highs were negative. So that's great to report. And that is it for nursing updates.
All right, thank you, Ginger. All right, so I'm going to ask Chris to come up and give us the WSD security update.
Hello, everyone. For those that don't know me, I'm Lieutenant Dickinson. I handle all the security here. We have SROs and marshals, and I'm over all that. I don't really have a lot to share today. I mean, things are actually pretty good security-wise. I always like to mention the drug dogs, and we did drug dogs Tuesday. Roughly 400 kids, I don't want to say searched, but bags and classes searched. Of that, we only had 1 finding, and that was at Global, and it was in the parking lot, and it was kind of a non-issue. It was prescription medication that wasn't in the proper packaging, so we educated the student on that. But other than that, pretty good.
I did see that there's going to be a town hall, I think, regarding this security.
Yeah, we can plug that. Town hall tonight and next Tuesday. It's Chief Weiser and myself, and I believe Thomas with Emergency Management will give a kind of a safety and security update of the district. That'll be at Coleman. Coleman tonight at 6 o'clock. Is that right, Becca? 6 o'clock. You got a question back there, sir?
Yes, just to let y'all know at Global, we have not had a positive drug testing result this year. Just want to throw that out there.
You're doing a great job at Global. Great job.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to think.
I thought I explained it well, that it was a non-issue in the parking lot. Just further education of students, and that's not uncommon, and I'll hit on that. A lot of students are on medication, and a lot of them don't want to carry their pill bottles around, so they put them in a plastic bag, put them in your pocket. that's illegal. You can't do that. And more so, we don't want them falling loose and somebody else picking up the medication regardless of what it is. So we just try to continue to educate that. I know Ginger does too, so does Ms. Bousquet. We try to make sure kids understand. Don't just bring loose medication. Keep it in your pill bottles. If you can take it at home, we try to push, hey, keep it at home if you can. But we know some people have to take medication throughout the day, and that's okay. That's all I got. Any other questions? No? Good.
Thank you, Chris. Okay, so we'll ask Becca to come up and do the WISD community involvement update.
Hi, good afternoon, almost. Becca Lockridge, I'm our Community Outreach Coordinator here for Waxahachie ISD, and Lieutenant stole my thunder. First thing I was going to talk about was to invite you all tonight. Please, we would love to have as many community members show up that are interested in the safety and security and all the measures that we take to ensure that our students are safe and that our campuses are secure and all of the things that go into making that happen. We have an incredible partnership with the PD here and with our emergency management team and our team of safety and security officers here within the district, and we would love the opportunity to be able to have an open conversation about everything that goes into that with our parents and our community so that they feel a little bit better about what we're doing proactively to ensure that all of our students and our staff remain safe. So once more, to plug that, tonight at the Coleman Fine Arts Center, directly across the street from HEB, 6 p.m., and then once more next Tuesday, same place, same time. So please come out and see us. Lots of other things going on the way of community investment and involvement. We've got Deer Day coming up, so that's Drop Everything and Read. It is scheduled for March the 7th. The time frames for reading are TBD at this moment. I'm sure that everybody's aware that we did have some scheduling shifts this year with the start times of school, so I'm still working with our teachers to figure out what's going to be best for their scheduling right now. But March the 7th, and those signups will go live the first full week of February, so be looking for those. We'll push them out on socials, and I'm not sure if I'm going to do an email blast on that yet or not, but if you want to be a reader, we would love to have you. And then also, if you want more time to hear about all the awesome things that happen within WISD, we'll be partnering with the Waxahachie Chamber of Commerce for the Morning Brew. And their topic is education, so it's going to be Waxahachie ISD, Advantage Academy, Navarro College, and Nelson University. Nelson is hosting this, and that is January the 30th, I believe, at 8 a.m. And they're limiting it to 150 people to come. And it's going to be some really unique updates about our district and the ways that we work alongside our local colleges and universities, as well as what is a charter school versus a public school. So it's kind of unique information there. And then last but not least, I'm not sure if anybody has seen, but Lighthouse for Learning is back live in person. Yay! Classes are going to begin February 3rd. And I have flyers. I printed out just a handful of copies, and I put them on the table out there a little bit later than most of the people came in the room, so apologize for that. But if you'd like a flyer, feel free to take one on your way out. And just so you kind of have a little taste of what the courses look like for this spring, we have sewing courses, mosaic art, stained glass for beginners, expressive art workshops hosted by Impact, which is going to be kind of cool. Human resources for leaders, accounting, culinary delights, poetry, building a planter box. Waxahachie Police Department once more is partnering with us for a mother and daughter self-defense workshop. Texas Heart CPR is providing CPR certification. And then Texas Department of Public Safety is doing a safety education series with everything from drug and fentanyl awareness to teen internet safety and phone safety, pedestrian safety, off-road vehicle safety, all of those things. We're offering a couple foreign languages, being Spanish for beginner and intermediate, as well as American Sign Language. So some really cool offerings. A lot of these are free or less than $20 per course. We tried to keep it extremely reasonably priced this time. There's just a few things on there that because they're 6 or 8 week courses, they are a little more expensive. But if you know anybody that could benefit from that, it's on the website underneath our community tab and Lighthouse for Learning. And then I'm always happy to send a direct link if you email me. So I think that's it. If there's any questions. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
All right, so that gives us all of our updates. So I'm going to ask Cassie Street. She's going to do our presentation on fentanyl awareness and Narcan. So Cassie.
All right. Hey, I'm going to try to turn this. Hopefully. I like to be able to see you guys, but I also like to be able to see what I'm looking at too. I'm Cassie Street. I am the Chief Operating Officer for REACH Council over in Midlothian, Texas. If you haven't heard of REACH, I'm sure you have because Sherry does all the updates. But we provide prevention and recovery support programs across Ellis County. We've been here for 35 years. So started here and continue to do all the amazing things here. So our mission is to encourage and support the safe and healthy choices vital to the well-being of our youth, families, and communities. Ms. Bousquet and Sherry asked me to come today to do a really short presentation on fentanyl and Narcan. So I'm sure most of you guys have heard of this before. This is not new news unless you've been living under a rock. But I just kind of want to give a brief overview and we want to talk about how to use Narcan and the importance of it. But before we do that, I want to listen to a quick clip from Jelly Roll here. Y'all recognize this guy?
I'm used to having a rock and roll band behind me when I have a microphone in front of me. During the time that I've been given to share my testimony here, I think it's important to note before I start that in these 5 minutes I'll be speaking that somebody in the United States will die of a drug overdose, and it is almost a 72% chance that during those 5 minutes it will be fentanyl related. Having started that way, Chairman Brown, Ranking Member Scott, and esteemed committee members, thank you for having me. I know this is a bit of a curveball, but I like a little baseball myself. My name is Jason D. Ford, but to most I am known as Jelly Roll. It is important to establish earlier that I am a musician and that I have no political alliance. I am neither Democrat nor Republican. In fact, because of my past, my right to vote has been restricted. Thus far, I have never paid attention to a political race in my life. Ironically, I think that makes me the perfect person to speak about this because fentanyl transcends partisanship and ideology, gentlemen and women. This is a totally different problem. And I was speaking outside to the media, and I gave them a statistic that said 190 people a day overdose and die every single day in the United States of America. That is about a 737 plane. That's what about a 737 aircraft can carry. Could you imagine the national media attention it would get if they were reporting that a plane was crashing every single day and killing 190 people? But because it's 190 drug addicts, we don't feel that way. Because America has been known to bully and shame drug addicts instead of dealing and trying to understand what the actual root of the problem is with that. But the sad news is that narrative is changing too, because the statistics say that in all likelihood, almost every person in this room has lost a friend, family member, or colleague to the disease known as addiction.
Okay, so we know addiction doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care what neighborhood you grew up in. It doesn't care who your mama is, as I tell my kiddos. It does not discriminate. And so fentanyl, while not the biggest problem in our world, is right now a very loud problem, which is why we're talking about it. Before we kind of talk more about fentanyl, do y'all know what an opioid is? Who can, I know I got some nurses in the room, so I'm going to shout out what an opioid is. Pain control, yeah, pain control, right? They're typically pain pills. They are a class of drugs derived from either opium or they're synthetic opioids, which means they're man-made to act like things that come from opium. All right, they include anything along the lines, oh, look at that. It's coming, give it a second. There we go. I got ahead of myself, I do that. They include any number of these substances, okay? You probably recognize some of them. So They come in lots of different forms. So they come in pill forms, patch forms, any number of forms. But what our country is currently dealing with, a major crisis, is related to this guy, the fentanyl, okay? We can spend all day talking about opioids and prescription pill abuse, and that is still an issue. We should still be locking up our abusable medications like Xanax and like other things that kids can get high on. But let's talk about fentanyl for a minute, because this is the really loud problem that he was talking about. If you haven't heard, fentanyl is what we call synthetic opioid, right? It is 100 times stronger than morphine. It is 50 times stronger than heroin. And it's legit uses. They use it to treat significant pain, chronic pain, okay? But what we are worried about is what is being brought into the United States from countries, from South America, from Mexico, from Asian countries, all right? It is being brought in often in powdered form or in pill form, okay? And what is on the tip of that pencil is enough to cause a lethal overdose. It is that strong. Jelly Roll talked about 190 deaths a day. This is the graph. So this, where it says prescription opioids down on the bottom right, that is the number of prescription opioid overdoses in 2020, okay? Up there at the top, that's the number of synthetic opioid overdoses, and most of those are related to fentanyl. Like I said, it is not our biggest problem, but it is a very loud, very lethal problem right now. All right, and our numbers are continuing to increase because the flow of this is continuing to come in. The problem is that it's so easy to access, but it's sometimes really hard to identify. So real quick, if I do a pop quiz, Samsung logo, which of those logos is the real one, the top or the bottom? Okay. Which of the Coca-Cola's logos is the real one? Okay, let's see. Y'all are smart. Which Chrome logo is the real one, left or right? The right one. Which is the correct Airbnb logo? Okay. Which is the real oxycodone on the top or the bottom? Which is the real Adderall? Which is the real Xanax? Okay, so those who are manufacturing and distributing fake or fentanyl-laced pills are making them look like legitimate pills. That is one of their marketing techniques, if we call it that, right? Now here's the thing. Most who are buying illicit or illegal pills off of the market, they know fentanyl's in there, but there are kids who may think they're getting one thing and they are getting another. And these things are so good that it can be nearly impossible to tell if it's real or if it's counterfeit. So why is this dangerous? What's the big deal with this? Is when they put the fentanyl into these pills or into pill form, they cut it. It was a very tiny amount you saw, right? So they gotta cut it with something and they mix it in. Well, it's kind of like when you make your chocolate chip cookies. You don't make chocolate chip cookies, you make your batter and you throw your chocolate chips in at the end. And you mix it in and you make your cookies, throw them on the cookie sheet, you bake them up, get your cookies. You get the cookie with 6 chocolate chips. Your daughter gets the cookie with 5 chocolate chips and she's mad at you because you got 6, right? They don't spread evenly. Same thing happens with fentanyl. It doesn't dissolve, it blends in. So 2 pills from the same batch can have different dosages in there, which is why 2 kids can get the same pills from the same dealer and have 2 very different responses. It's what we call the chocolate chipping effect. Right now, the DEA says that 7 out of 10 pills that have fentanyl in them on the market, illegally, on the illegal market, have a deadly dose of fentanyl in them. In 2024, and this is probably an old number at this point because I pulled it about 4 months ago, they had seized over 208 million deadly doses of fentanyl. That's what they seized. So who should we worry about when it comes to fentanyl poisonings, and opioid opioid overdoses. Who of these people up here should we worry about? All of them, right? Everyone, all of them. We are talking about fentanyl, so we're worried most about those who are going to be abusing illegal substances. But does grandma get pain pills? Yeah, right? Do everyday parents get pain medications? Okay, yes. So we want to be aware that accidental overdoses or fentanyl poisonings can happen to those who don't realize or are unsuspecting, because these things don't discriminate. So one thing that we've been doing as a preventative measure to prevent overdose deaths is educating on recognizing it. So how to recognize an opioid overdose. We have these 3 people in the car. If someone is having an opioid overdose, whether it's from their legit pain pills or from fentanyl, the biggest things you're gonna look for is they're gonna be unresponsive, right? You're gonna be shaking them and they're not gonna be waking up. You know, if you take the CPR classes and you, hey, are you okay? And they're not getting up, that's a sign that something's going on. They're also gonna have very slow, shallow breathing because opioids are downers. They slow down breathing and heart rate and bodily functions. They might be snoring or gurgling. They might have pale or blue skin. That is, again, because of decreased blood flow. You start to turn blue, all right? They might be sweating. They might be constricted. The biggest thing that you want to look for is, are they unresponsive? Are you not able to wake them? So if that's the case, that's when you would use something called naloxone. I know everyone in here heard of naloxone before, or Narcan? Okay. So Narcan, if you haven't heard, is an opioid overdose reversal agent or an antagonist. It's a life-saving medication that can temporarily reverse an overdose. How it works chemically is if someone's having an overdose, opioids go into the brain and they hop on the opioid receptors, okay? You get too much in there, it overwhelms the brain, body function starts to slow down, you are starting to have an overdose. Narcan or naloxone, naloxone is like saying ibuprofen versus Advil, all right? Goes into the brain and it simply blocks that receptor. That's all it does. It puts a cap on it for visual purposes, puts a cap on it so the opioids can't be absorbed temporarily. It will bring them back from an overdose within 2 to 3 minutes of administering, all right? It is temporary because it will wear off. It's not a cure. If someone has to be given naloxone, then they need to, obviously, we need to be calling 911. They can go back into opioid overdose, all right? And it won't work on non-opioid overdoses. So if they're having an overdose from Xanax, like benzodiazepines, or if they're having alcohol poisoning, it won't work on that. But the thing about it is if you give it to someone who is having what looks like an overdose, and it's not an opioid overdose, you don't hurt them because it doesn't cause changes to blood pressure or anything else. All it does is block those opioid receptors from absorbing the opioid. That's it. So if you give it to them and they're not having that overdose, you've basically given them the equivalent of a shot of saline. That's it. It can be given to anyone of any age. That's really important. So if the worst case scenario happens and little Susie gets into someone else's medications, it can be given to little Susie without problems, okay? And it is protected by law in the US if you are a bystander, okay? All right. I teach about this because I want everyone to know how to use it. The Surgeon General now says it should be in our first aid kits, just like our CPR masks are. I will tell you, for Waxahachie ISD, all your counselors, all your security professionals, and all of your nurses have been trained on it, and it is in all of your nurse clinics and with all of your officers, correct? Yes. So this is a great thing. Unfortunately, it's had to have been used not just in Waxahachie. I think, well, I don't know if it's been used in Waxahachie. I know it's been used in other districts. We had a very rural district about 2 years ago when we first got it into another district. About a week after we got it onto this rural junior high campus, they had a young lady go unresponsive in a bathroom. They were so rural that it takes the ambulance a minimum of 15 minutes to get to them. And they didn't have any other reason to know why she was unresponsive, so they gave it to her, and she came back. And it was a life-saving measure for that young lady. So we'll watch a very short video because I want you guys to understand how to administer it. For those who've never seen it before, you guys have it in your boxes up here. Inside your boxes are 2 of these. Okay, it's a nasal spray. Like if you've ever gotten a sample nasal spray of Flonase from your doctor, looks just like that, okay? And it administers just like a nasal spray. This is my tester one, doesn't have anything in there. It only has 1 shot, so you don't prime it, FYI. We're gonna watch a video on how to administer it, and then I'm gonna let you guys ask questions.
Narcan nasal spray is not a substitute for emergency medical care. As with any drug, you need to be aware of important safety information concerning its use. Please see indications and important safety information at the end of this video. Also, please see accompanying full prescribing information in the use of this product. Narcan nasal spray is an emergency treatment for a known or suspected opioid overdose. The appropriate use of Narcan nasal spray can help you save a life. Narcan nasal spray is not a substitute for emergency medical care. As with any drug, you need to be aware of important safety information concerning its use. If you encounter someone who is unresponsive and you suspect an overdose, first shake their shoulders and shout their name.
Kevin.
Ask if he or she is okay.
Hey, can you hear me?
Check for signs of an overdose. Unresponsive to touch or voice. Breathing is slow, uneven, or has stopped. Snoring, gasping, or gurgling sounds. Fingernails or lips are blue or purple. Administer Narcan nasal spray as quickly as possible if someone is unresponsive and an opioid overdose is suspected, even when in doubt, because prolonged respiratory depression may result in damage to the central nervous system or even death. Lay the person on their back to receive a dose of Narcan nasal spray. Remove Narcan nasal spray from the box. Peel back the tab with the circle to open it. Remove and review the printed quick start guide inside the package. Hold the Narcan nasal spray with your thumb on the bottom of the plunger and your first and middle fingers on either side of the nozzle. Do not press the plunger to test or prime the device. If you do, you will waste all or part of the dose of medication. Tilt the person's head back and provide support under the neck with your hand. Gently insert the tip of the nozzle into one nostril until your fingers on either side of the nozzle are against the person's nose. Press the plunger firmly to give the full dose of Narcan nasal spray. Remove the device from the nostril after giving the dose. After you have given this medication, seek emergency help right away. Narcan nasal spray is not a substitute for emergency medical care.
I'm with somebody who stopped breathing. I think they've had an overdose.
Move the person on their side after giving Narcan nasal spray. If possible, put their hands under their head and bend their upper leg forward. This helps prevent the person from rolling onto their stomach. This is known as the recovery position. Continue to watch the person closely. If they do not wake up or respond to your voice or touch, or if they do not seem to be breathing normally within 2 to 3 minutes, use a new Narcan nasal spray to give an additional dose in the other nostril. Acute opiate withdrawal symptoms may occur from use of Narcan nasal spray in patients who are opioid dependent. Symptoms include body aches, diarrhea, increased heart rate or tachycardia, fever, runny nose, sneezing, goosebumps, also known as piloerection, sweating, yawning, nausea or vomiting, nervousness, restlessness or irritability, shivering or trembling, abdominal cramps, weakness, and increased blood pressure. When the emergency is over, put the Narcan nasal spray back in its box and throw it away in a place that is away from the reach of children. In addition to watching this video, please read the quick start guide that comes with Narcan nasal spray before using it. Talk to a healthcare professional if you have any questions about how to administer Narcan nasal spray.
Okay, so a couple things. First of all, they have you put them in a recovery position because when you administer Narcan or naloxone, it will often send them instantly into withdrawals, which can mean that they may vomit, all right? Can also mean that they may be really, really mad because they might be hurting, FYI on that part. So they will come back. If they don't come back within 2 to 3 minutes, you give another dose. Because fentanyl is so strong, sometimes they are finding that they are having to get 2 doses. Couple of notes to talk about. They say to keep this in controlled temperatures, like to not leave it in your car, or to like in hot or cold temperatures. That is the FDA's recommendation. However, it has been shown to still be effective even if it's been kept in a car in the hot heat or the cold. Like this stuff right here is kept in hot warehouses in Texas. So I will always say hot naloxone is better than no naloxone, okay? So I keep one in my car. I keep one in my car, I keep one in my work bag, and I keep one in my band parent bag. Same for expired as well. These do have expiration dates on them. However, if you are not a nurse or carrying it for your job, like law enforcement, like you are carrying it as a good Samaritan, you can carry it well beyond its expiration date. It has been shown to be effective 30 years past its expiration date. Again, expired naloxone is better than no naloxone, all right? You just carry it around, it's shown to still be effective. The one thing I would note is if you keep it in your car and it's cold, it's been freezing like we have right now, just take a few seconds to warm it in your hands because it's such a small amount of liquid, it would not take long to heat back up. This is a real short overview because I know we have busy days, but what kind of questions do you guys have?
I have a question about your slideshow. The old grandma that's taking the pills, do we have to worry about this with our pills from CVS?
We do not have to worry about this with our pills from CVS. You're getting your legit medications from CVS. I think about grandma because grandma's forgetful. And what if she has had like a hip surgery and she has hydrocodone as a painkiller and she forgot that she took her medicine. So that can cause her to have an accidental overdose, if that makes sense. You know, we're focusing on fentanyl today, but fentanyl's an opioid, right? And we have legit painkillers that are opioids and we get prescribed them all the time. I mean, for major injuries, for surgeries, for dental things. So we get them prescribed them all the time. So, you know, we don't have to worry about the counterfeit things showing up at CVS. So, that's a great question. What other questions do we have? Yeah?
Deceased? Not breathing?
If they're not breathing?
Yes.
You would still do CPR.
Give them the Narcan?
Yes, give them the Narcan while you're doing CPR. If they have, if they're not breathing, you're gonna obviously do CPR because that's the first function. You would give them the Narcan and then continue to do CPR until they either start breathing on their own or first responders show up. If they are breathing very shallowly, like if they're breathing but it's very slow, you may find that rescue breaths and making sure that their blood is circulating is important. You have to really monitor that. The reason being is if we give it in the nasal spray and their blood is not circulating very well or at all, it can't be picked up into the brain. So, it's a great question. Other questions? Yeah?
Can it be transferred by touch or so they have to?
Can it be transferred by touch? So when fentanyl first kind of hit the news, there was a lot of concern of transdermal absorption, absorbing it through the skin. What we have since learned then is that it doesn't absorb through the skin very well. That most of the instances where someone thought they had absorbed it through the skin was that they got real stressed out and their blood pressure dropped and then they fainted. Now, if I have it on my hand and then I put my hand in my mouth or some other mucous membrane, yes, I could absorb it that way, but not transdermally.
Yeah.
So,
Don't lick the white powder.
huh?
I said, don't lick the white powder.
Please don't put the white powder in your mouth. So, what other questions? Oh.
If you're needing to administer multiple doses of Narcan because the 2 or 3 minutes have elapsed, is the method to go opposite nostril every
Yes.
time you administer the next?
Yes, it is. Switch nostrils.
Okay.
So,
That's the recommendation that Narcan puts out. I talked to EMS paramedic, and she said it really didn't matter. She said, as long as you just hit them with that second dose. One of the key things to remember too, you've got 4 to 6 minutes before brain damage starts happening when they stop breathing. And sometimes it takes longer than that even for EMS to show up. And that's why it's so important to have Narcan or the naloxone products, because there's different ones. I know our law enforcement, a lot of them carry the injectable naloxone. We also provided Cloxida, which is another brand. So, but real important to have that in your first aid kits. And like I said, I have one in my purse. I've got one in my car. You never know when you may come across one. We had one of our coalition staff that was at a restaurant in Burleson, and a lady was there with her children, and she'd gotten up and went to the bathroom and came back and then ended up passing out. And luckily there was somebody there that had Narcan and was able to administer it, and EMS was able to arrive and take her. But it's real important too. I've heard of instances where something happened at a school, parent came, got there before EMS, but refused to let them go to the hospital. Sent the kid home and made them go to the room and actually did not check on them, and they relapsed back into that overdose. And when the parent actually went in to check on them, they were already gone. So it's real important that they do seek medical assistance, because they do need to be monitored for a while, because as Cassie said, the Narcan or naloxone wears off quicker than the opioid. So that opioid is still going to be in their system and could easily cause them to go back into overdose.
Can you buy it over the counter?
Yes.
naloxone, yes, you can buy it over the counter. It is Narcan specifically has been FDA approved, so you can pick it up at your CVS, Walgreens, wherever. I think it's about $35 or $40 a box.
It's about 42 the last time I checked.
Right now, though, the TTOR, there are Texas opioid response dollars that have made it to where our local mental health authorities, like North Texas Behavioral Health Alliance, have dollars to buy Narcan and then give it out in the community. So we're able to work with community partners like them to get it for free, to then give out for free. Because the goal is to make it easily accessible to anyone who wants it or needs it.
Can we request that you come and do
Yes. I love talking to people. I'll talk to anybody who wants me to come. So, all right, any other questions? Thanks for letting me come talk to you guys today.
Everybody be sure to pick up a box that's out there on the table. If you get out there and there's not any there, let me know, because I do have a few extras.
All right, thanks, Cass.
All right. Thank you, Cassie. All right. Well, that will conclude our meeting for today. So we're going to be adjourning a little bit earlier. So I need a motion to adjourn at 12:21. Do I have a motion? Okay, and a second? And Jessica Nelson. All right, thank you. All in favor? Okay, thank you very much. Y'all have a wonderful day, and look forward to seeing you again on February the 27th.